What's going on, and welcome into your casual gaming news conversation for this week. I'm Nick, that's Matt, and this is your weekly gaming news podcast from Ep.64. Matt, another week. How we doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Had a great day today. Ready to talk about some news, get into some headlines.
It's going to be a good one, as always. March Madness kicked off today. Are you a bracket person? Like, back in high school, did we ever get you in on brackets and such? I feel like...
I've done brackets.
Okay.
I definitely did a bracket every year in high school.
Yeah. With our group...
And I was...
With our group especially, everyone was always... I'm pretty sure we... Like, for those who don't know, Matt, high school buddy of mine, we went and graduated with, like, 120 kids. And... it's about, half guys, half gals. I'm pretty sure there was one time that we got a bracket pool of like 60, 70, 80 kids. Like we've been part of some,
like that.
We've been part of some big ones. So yeah, I assumed you were part of those. Did you fill out one this year?
I haven't, and I kind of haven't really been into college hoops in a while, since like college.
Yeah.
Because I was super in and following it. That's the big thing, is I haven't followed it, so I don't feel equipped. I don't feel knowledgeable enough to put together a bracket, because I pull up this year's bracket and I look at it and I get intimidated.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are these teams up to this year? And that's why I'm out, because I feel like I'm not making informed decisions anymore. I feel like the people who like throw darts or flip coins to determine their brackets now.
Yeah.
And that has me feeling shameful.
For those who don't know, you went to USC, played in the USC marching band. I have great photos coming up on my memories right now, because one of my favorite memories was during college. Me and Papa 64 went to South Carolina, saw Auburn play because I was at Auburn, and then you were playing in the band. It just worked out that like
I was just randomly there.
Yeah.
We just happened to be in South Carolina at the same time for only that reason.
Which, like, for those who don't know, round of 64, round of 32 played in the same location, and there's 8 locations. And it just so happened that USC and Auburn were in the same location. So it's been fun to go and get those photos. And my dad texted me and he was like, hey, you did, like, literally I was on the phone with him during today's work day. And he was like, what's up with Matt? How's he doing? Because like he's getting the photos on his memories too, I guess. But yeah, March Madness for me, love it. It's amazing. It's one of the best times of the year. And Matt, you talk about being informed. You are someone that is very informed. You like making educated decisions in your life. Me, risk taker. Okay, I don't know jack shit about college hoops this year. I'm just choosing, like, this team has a cool logo, so I'm going with that. This team seems like there could be an upset because I like the color red. Is it uninformed? Absolutely. Am I having a great time being right or wrong? Yeah. We did blueprints in the morning, and then I immediately pulled out the second TV. Well, I grabbed lunch, and then I grabbed a micro SD card, and then pulled out the second TV. I had Kind of Funny Games Daily on the main screen. On the other team, I had the multi-view box going, and that was making the show doc, and it's up out on Patreon.
I saw you post on the Discord. You're approaching Octobox territory with how many screens you have, with how many feeds are hitting your face.
Matt, there was one point. So I have the 4 on the multi-view running. Then on the main TV, I still had a podcast going. Then I had my laptop out, just letting email fly in, throughout the day in case there was anything there. And then I was also playing Animal Well on the handheld. So for those counting at home, that is 7 different feeds at once hitting my face. And I literally...
one away.
Yeah. Just
one
all
away
coming
from
out
the Octobox.
And... I have the Starburst jelly beans. Are you a Starburst jelly bean? Have we talked about this ever in our friendship?
Love them. I remember you always had some at your house.
Yeah, this was the Mama 64 classic, where the second it would be around that Easter time, there would always be like, not like
that's when they're in stores.
Yeah, not a giant bowl, but but not like a ramekin, like just like the in between little bowl that you can put out on a coffee table situation. They would just always be out there, and dude, I would take down bags of these things from March through April, Like I would never answer that my favorite candy is Starburst jelly beans, but when I went out and grabbed lunch, I literally grabbed a bag of these things, put the bowl down, and Matt, I think that like 3/4 of that bowl was killed. I cracked open a single beer. I knew I was podcasting and had more work to do today, but I was like, let's start out the March Madness with a good time. Cracked open a beer, played some Animal Well, cruising through Animal Well. When I say cruising, I have a lot of items, but I have not made a ton of progression yet. So I'm having a lot of fun there. Talked a little bit about that with Brady last night. There's a chance I challenge this man at PAX for the belt. Like
you should wrap up Animal World to do it.
Yeah,
I will be very excited to be there watching you throw down
like
in Pokemon Champions
dude,
on the showroom floor.
Did you see the Nintendo lineup that like sort of is out there? Okay, ready? Mini headline number 1. What's at PAX East for Nintendo? It's Mario Wonder. It's with the expansion there. It's Pokopia
Switch 2 edition.
Yep. And then it's Pokemon Champions, which is the first time Pokemon Champions is playable, I believe, for the public.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna be in line. Like, I'm gonna check this out.
They usually, if their setup is how it's been at previous PAXs, there's gonna be a crowd.
Yeah.
In addition to the line, they've usually had like big screens for people to watch as they draw a crowd. They did that for Smash Ultimate,
dude.
And so there will be Pokemon battles going on as you walk by.
I'm so curious. Well, okay. I'm trying to wonder how to organize this show right now because I do just want to talk a little bit about PAX. So let's just do it. Let's just hop straight into the housekeeping at this point. Housekeeping for you. Patreon, this show 3 days early. You can get the Casual Gaming Conversation 3 days early bonus episodes of the Casual Gaming Conversation. We just did Rogan's Gaming History. We did the Resident Evil 9 spoiler cast. We named 1,000 games over there. If you want to support this channel, by far the best place to do it. And you get so much more content at that $5 tier. At the $10 tier, you get to write into this show and the Casual Gaming Conversation each and every week. You get Recollecting Retro, Connor's Retro Collecting Show, which is going up this upcoming week. I believe it's going to be part 2 of his Vita collection. That's bananas that we are able to have 2 parts of a Vita collection episode, by the way. That is not right for any human being to have enough games.
He's a committed guy. He commits to the bit with the Vita.
He did. It
means life.
It means life. And financially, he's committed to the bit too. Like there's a large difference between like being all talk and not putting your money where your mouth is, and this man has put his money where his mouth is. But yes, you can get that at the $10 tier and the Ep.64 podcast. We did a topic about Torg, going through the whole story of our first meet and greet in 2024. So get excited about PAX. Listen to that episode. Somebody legitimately did listen to that episode and then bought a ticket to Torg this year. They're like, I can't not be part of these stories the next time that they happen. If you want to be part of the fun shenanigans, PAX, we'll talk about it here in a second. Get excited. And then at the highest tier, you can get your name read at the end of each and every podcast we do. And you can write in to potentially be the 4th topic on the Ep.64 podcast. When it was just Brady and myself, we pulled 2 audience topics. One of them was Torg, and then the other one was fondue versus chocolate fountains. Matt, what's winning? One answer. One word answer. Or 2-word answer.
Chocolate fountain.
Yes, but apparently it's not good enough to get you to fly out for Extra Life is what we learned during that podcast. You were not the only person we texted about that, by the way. We texted a lot of people. And then, yes, let's bring it in. Torg. It was the previous meet and greet. We're going to do another one this year at the end of the year with November. But PAX East, we are shooting this on Thursday. We are 8 days away from PAX East. If you want to hang out with me, Connor, Brady, Matt, Rogan, we're all going to be... this guy. We're all going to be at the Boston Flight Club at, I believe we set out at 7 p.m. Is the time that we threw out there. 7 p.m. till 8:30. Boston Flight Club. It is a darts bar. It is after all the convention shenanigans. You don't need a ticket to PAX East. It's just downtown Boston. Come, hang out, grab a beer, grab a photo. If you want us to sign anything, we're happy to sign. Connor will sign your Vita case 10 times over if you'd like. We're there to hang out. This is not a meet and greet situation where we're going to be sitting down and you get a quick handshake. We're going to be yapping. We're going to be talking games. It's going to be a great time. You're not going to want to miss it. And then if you're somebody that's like, man, I'm going to PAX. I'm a little bit busy. I don't know if I'm going to go to that. this is your reminder. If you see us out in Boston over the next couple days, when we are out there next weekend, say hi. Don't be like afraid. We're cool, normal people. Just come up, be like, hey, I love your shit. Every interaction we've had with people that are from this community is like, we've literally not had a single bad interaction. There was like one person that like was a little bit awkward. There was the one person that I felt bad because I was in PJs and flip flops and I just didn't want to talk to people because I was hungover. Other than that, like, we're batting 1,000. So please come up, say hi. Like, we love meeting y'all. It really does mean the world. And the kind words that we've received over time have literally like boosted us and has gotten us through some of those hard days where it's hard to turn the camera on. So we thank you for your kind interactions there. If
Every time I've been out in public with Nick, someone has said hi to him from content, and it makes his day every time it happens.
Yeah.
I've been at concerts, I've been at food places, and people just walk up, and that's a good model.
Yeah, it really, really does mean the world to us. Yeah, so please go say what's up. But yeah, PAX Flight Club. If you want more details, Discord is the best place to go and get those details. Hop in the Discord. We will have also, if you're on Patreon, just for free, during our announcements, we'll have all the details there. If you have any questions, Discord's the place to do it. Also, just join the Discord to talk about games. It's linked in the description down below. Talk to myself. Matt is now more prevalent in the Discord, asking me to bring in headlines and random shit throughout the week, which is a great time. Thanks for doing that, Matt. But join the Discord. It's a great community over there. 30,000 people playing Marathon, talking Procopia, talking Crimson Desert, like we will here in a second. You should, like, Crimson Desert's reviews dropping at 6 p.m. and being part of that Discord. Electric. It was a lot of fun. And then Twitch streams. This is where things are getting really wonky next week. The next 2 weeks are going to be weird. But the one thing that is going to be awesome and a staple in these next couple weeks is on Monday, Gears of War. Connor and I starting our first ever time finishing the Gears of War trilogy together. We're playing Gears 1, then we plan on going straight into Gears 2, and then down the line doing Gears 3. We're going to play all 3 Gears leading into E-Day this year. You're not going to want to miss it. Tuesday, we are finishing Life is Strange on my stream. It's been a lot of fun. Wednesday, Connor is going to be continuing playing Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the OG. He had a lot of fun before his internet crapped out, but he's going to go and continue on with that playthrough. And then Thursday, we have the time. It's a little bit, it's a weird, like, oh, I finished a game on Tuesday. What am I playing Thursday? I don't want to start something new. We're playing Mega Man 2. I will be going and beating my first ever Mega Man game, Mega Man 2. Apparently, it's only a couple hours. It's going to be a great time. I hope to see you there. You're not going to want to miss it when it comes to the Twitch streams. Merch, Code64store.com. You can get hoodies, t-shirts, and mugs. Review us over on Apple Podcasts and hop into the comment section down below if we mess something up on this episode so you can set the record straight in the next episode. Matt, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Headline: Crimson Desert's Metacritic score leads to 30% Pearl Abyss stock drop. This is Paul Tassi over at Forbes. Quote, Metacritic scores have always been a source of controversy in the video game industry. Games can live or die by them. If bad word of mouth spreads, it can take a game. In contrast, great ones can drive big sales and Game of the Year nominations. But now we're seeing the result of quote unquote underperforming, even with what is supposed to be a perfectly fine score. Pearl Abyss, the publisher of Crimson Desert, saw its stock fall by 30% after the Metacritic score of the game was revealed when the review embargo dropped. It's a 78 out of 100, where that would be pretty good if this were a movie or TV show. But the video game industry is different, and for Crimson Desert, it simply isn't good enough for investors. What's going on? With the state of current video game review industry is that almost all scores fall between 7 and 10. At this point, it's more accurate to think of them as letter grades than 7 being significantly above an average of 5. A 5 will often shut down your studio. Even a 6 might. And in this case, a mega blockbuster like Crimson Desert, even if it was divisive, was expected to at least reach an 80 on Metacritic, if not an 85 or even a 90 for a big win. A 78 is considered an underperformance in this context, whether that is fair or not. A 78 is a C+, even if Metacritic considers it, quote, generally favorable, end quote. Matt, we discussed it a little bit already. The gunshot heard around the world. 6 p.m., Thursday night, these scores drop, and alongside it, hundreds, if not thousands, of people's jaws went along with it. Crimson Desert is currently sitting at a 78, I want to say. It's still at that 78 area. 80 on OpenCritic, if that's your preferred gathering of scores website. But Matt, 30% stock drop. There's so much to hop into here. Did you? Okay, let's start here. What was your Crimson Desert 6 p.m. story? Were you on this, or were you? I mean, you were working. So when did you see this? Did you like? With all the buzz that's happening around Crimson Desert, is this what you expected? Did you expect it to be on the higher end? Where are you at with Crimson Desert and these review scores?
Well, once you sent me the headlines for today and Crimson Desert was the first one, I immediately went to its entry on Metacritic to make sure, okay, this is actually a 78. This is actually how it turned out. And lo and behold, it was. It hadn't changed in the probably hour or two that it had been. And it boggles my mind that that consumers are not dictating this outcome in terms of company shares. The critics are, because nobody has, like, the general populace doesn't have their hands on this game yet. It hasn't come out, and the people who are backing it are already selling their market shares. And I suppose that you have to sort of think about correlation and causation. Like, it could just be that a certain amount of people who have been investing in this studio just had already decided to sell their shares when right before it came out. Maybe some people, that's a routine thing. I don't know how investors usually treat releases. It could be that before it releases is a smart time to sell your market shares. I don't think it is, because they haven't made anything back on this game yet.
Yeah.
I think that is the real canary in the coal mine is, well, they haven't made any money off of it. So why are people already bailing? And that's the real thing, is no one's bought the game yet. So how come people are already waving the white flag? What do you think about that?
I think that they're waving the white flag because they were expecting this to be potentially a home run. I think that I think that there is so first and foremost, none of this is like financial advice. Matt and I do not have a financial background.
Absolutely not.
Take all this with a grain of salt when it comes to us discussing the financial procedures of buying and selling stocks. We're goofballs, just a heads up there. But the way that I read that is, I think that there's certain people that bought stock in Pearl Abyss and they expected a fucking home run. They expected this to be the next Black Myth Wukong situation, where even though it didn't have the greatest review scores, it was at like an 84, I want to say. 82 to 84, I don't know off the top of my head. It's one of those two, or maybe an 81. I think it's an 84 though. Anyways, all that happened, and then it sells 15 million sales, and the team that's making the Black Myth goes and shoots to the moon. I want to say it's Game Science is the team over there. And like they're gonna go and just be able to do whatever the hell they want because they made so much money from that first game. I think that there was faith that they could go and have this be the case. They could go and step up to the plate and have another dominating performance from a game that is the TikTok game of the year. Like, we are talking about the game that people, Crimson Desert, and this has happened multiple times over, people were defending Crimson Desert like they had stock in the game before it came out, before these reviews came out. I don't, once again, video game publishers, we all have some of our favorites. We all have some of the ones that we like and root for because we want good games from them. Maybe they've given us some great memories in the past. But like, I don't think even like Intergalactic, for example, is a game that I'd be like, for sure it's going to be unbelievable. It's Naughty Dog, whatever. I think I've said something to that degree, but there's at least a sense of like, if a 78 came out for Intergalactic, I would be like, oh, that sucks. But like, now I know what it is. People are like, no, the reviewers are wrong. like there's a level of showmanship and trying to peacock almost in a way that feels like you're actually not understanding what reviews are worth and what this whole industry is about. Which 30% drop, I do think that there's the people that thought this is the gold mine and it's going to get 90s plus and everything, and they're going to go and drop their shares. This game is still going to sell exceedingly well. This game I expect to be a massive success from a financial standpoint from pre-orders alone. Like there is so many people that were already all in on Crimson Desert that like I still saw TikToks throughout today being like, this is what I'm doing. There's going to be so many TikToks about if you want to go and get the best build on Crimson Desert, this is what you do. There's going to be so many social posts discussing, like already we're discussing the review scores of this and how this all came together. And it's like, shit, this game is still going to be massive just due to the word of mouth situation. But when it comes to the financial, and once again, I feel like I'm just shotgun shelling ideas right now because there's so much to talk about within this one topic. But to go in and get back to the financial aspect of it, there is a level of like, yeah, 30% does seem asinine. That sounds like a lot. So I do think that there was some level of correlation between these review scores and people getting out before this game came out. I'm shocked that somebody would do that, being like, oh, let's get out right now as like these reviews are coming in, and then like that tanks your stock price.
You brought up pre-orders, and I think that is probably a lot of the losses that people have recouped and then got out on is the fact that this game has sold X amount on pre-orders, and for a lot of investors that is enough for them to call it and sell their shares.
Yeah, because also you want to sell high, and if you truly believe that this score is going to tank it in a certain way and the word of mouth is not going to be good enough after launch, get out while you're on your best foot forward. And so I don't hate that idea, but also I do think that this game will be a financial success, and there will be egg on the face of the people that did sell. Once again, not telling you what to do with your money at all. I'm not buying stocks in Pearl Abyss, even though I think that like the people that sold here were a little bit foolish. I'm not doing that shit. So no financial advice actually going into this. But like, yeah, I think that there is a chance that this was the peak of what Pearl Abyss would be doing, but that sort of shifted. But to shift the conversation into more of this broad topic, which I've been rambling on about for 10 minutes at this point. How much does well let's start here. Matt Lucid. I've very little talked about Crimson Desert on content because I've not been super interested in it. It didn't seem like a game that's for me. I like my narrative driven games. I need an open. If you have an open world, you better tell a damn good story that's going to make me want to be along this character and these characters for 60 to 100 hours. Where were you at with Crimson Desert? Was this one that piqued your interest at all? Or, and like, were you getting this on your social feeds? I know you're not a huge social media guy. You try to stay away from the doom scrolls, which is very healthy. But like, where were you at entering today and launch day and everything before even these reviews dropped?
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned story because I'll get there. I guess I've been following the game for a little bit insofar as like it was put on my radar when you guys previewed it. Way back when.
Summer Game Fest last year. Yeah, Summer Game Fest. Connor played an hour of Crimson Desert. So that was the first I heard. Dude, real quick time out. We're going to Summer Game Fest. I'm not going to tell sort of like how the certain workings of this go, but Connor all of a sudden was like, yeah, we have an appointment for Crimson Desert. And I didn't know what the fucking game was. Like, and he was like, it's pretty big on TikTok. And once again, Connor, not that he's more online than me or anything, Connor knows his shit though. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, let's give it a shot. And he immediately, and just to synopsis what he was always saying, he was like, this was very complicated. Holy shit, this is a lot when it comes to it. I don't know if I know this is probably for some people. It's definitely not for me. That was his 1 hour experience with Crimson Desert. So that was your first.
It was introduced to me in that sort of audio format when someone was telling it to me secondhand, and I was like, Crimson Desert, what does that game look like? I couldn't figure that out from Connor's description. And as more of the material started to come out, I was like, oh, this is like a medieval fantasy setting. And I was looking at like character action type combat. I was looking at maybe some skill trees, maybe some RPG elements. And then in like recent weeks, people have started putting out previews of the game, and it seems like this game is expansive. This
Yeah.
world is huge. It's very sandbox like, where you can interact with the NPCs in very unique ways. And so I've seen your guys' impressions. I've seen some previews. I've seen some social media content. So probably like half an hour of exposure to what this game is before it has come out. And my problem with it is I can't tell you what the game is about. And that is an issue to anyone looking into buying this game, because they haven't done a good job of marketing it in such a way that people understand what they're getting into. And I
Real,
think that yeah, go ahead. Go
real
ahead.
quick, with just the point you just said, I want to just stick on this real quick. I want to take this in a weird way. Matt,
Let's get
I,
weird.
if you could, I know you weren't a party guy by any means in college or current day or anything, but there were parties at Auburn that were very clear. You knew what you were getting into. You would go in here and be like, hey, we're going to this fraternity, we're going to this bar, we're going to whatever. This is the party you're going to. But then sometimes, Matt, there would be parties where you would know jack shit about them. You get a fucking address, you get a fucking location. Someone drops a pin somewhere, and it's like, party here, dude. And the aura that those parties had, you're rolling the dice on what you're getting. You might be out with a keg and 5 of your buddies, and you think it's gonna be the greatest night of your life, or there might be NFL players coming to kick it with just fucking bananas. Shit's crazy. Everyone is doing something illicit. It's a great time, like crazy type of party. I feel like to some level, this had the aura of the pin drop, where it's like,
Mhm.
we're going to show you the coolest gameplay that you've ever seen. We're going to have this fucking character suplexing motherfuckers. We're going to have him fly through the air on a dragon and a mech. And it's like the line in Anchorman where he's like, there's going to be fireworks and boobies. Like, we're just showing shit of randomness to try to get you in on it. But if you like sat me down and you're like, okay, like, give me the fucking E3 demo. This is a day in the life of Crimson Desert, and you like give me that 20-minute spiel.
Mhm.
And some of those like Pearl Abyss did do some marketing stuff online, but even then I didn't feel like I understood. Like people are like, I like the puzzles in this game, and I like the some of the open world mechanics, and I'm like, but like I feel like every game that I put on like the top 50, for example, I'm able to be like, there's this aspect, and I can flesh out that point for a whole podcast if the game's really great. You know, the story of The Last of Us, the fucking physics mechanics of your portals, the open world of Elden Ring, and the way that it's easy to discover and invites the need to go and try the next thing, but the bosses and whatever, right? I couldn't do that with Crimson Desert. And like at all. And so I do think to some level, you're like, yeah, I don't know what the fuck this game is. And I'm like, yeah, but also all the people on social media were able to be like, this party, dude, this party's gonna be the one. This one's gonna be
Mhm.
sick. And it's like, could it be sick? And it's like, yeah, there's going to be dragons or whatever. And it's like, but I need to know what the fuck we're doing. And then these reviews come out, and a lot of it is like, it does some things well. It's like the party's got cold beer, but we're in the field, the music sucks, and there's somebody with a loud truck just revving his engine being an asshole. Like that's sort of what I feel like the review. And then here's the thing, but because the reviews are so vastly different, somebody's like, oh, but I was with my buddies and I wasn't by the car, and actually, if you were this close to the speaker, you would like this party and everything. And it's like
Why?
these are so different, but the party still. When you go back to school the next day, the fact that so many people are differing on this thing, and it's all about the party, not just a personal experience. It's not.
Why is your analogy turning into a story? I feel like you're speaking from too much experience.
I'm not. Trust me, I was a loser in college, dude. I never partied. But just anyways, like there's a level to this where it is. I feel like there is not enough juice here to warrant the amount of excitement that was leading into this. and now these review scores drop and it's whatever. But continue.
I
I totally interrupted your very cognizant point with a party analogy, which
well, yeah,
I'll
you
say
you
stuck the landing 100% because that
I
was
want to
great.
jump on what you just said because you said I don't know if there's enough juice there to warrant all the hype that's been circulating about it. And I feel like there could be. Like this game looks really deep, really mechanically deep. There's seemingly a lot of content that you will be playing for a long time. The previews that I saw mentioned that there's maybe like some sort of revenge story going on. That wasn't helpful to me. I don't know what that means. That you gave me one word, and I think that my overall thoughts on this is that this game is an enormous like fantasy RPG with like an immersive physics sandbox with the ability for the player to curate their own experience, right? It's a player driven game, and that's great, but there's no hook. There's no hook that gets you into the sandbox,
Yeah,
and that is going to be a barrier um to for a lot of people to get in on it. So no matter how nice the water is, no one's going to jump in the pool if there's no hook, if there's nothing inviting them into it. So that's my issue with how everything has been circulating about Crimson Desert is there I don't know what the game is about, and there isn't enough to get me to question that
yeah,
or get me to find out about that.
yeah.
So
The only reason
yeah,
it was
go
on
ahead.
my
Go ahead.
radar was the amount of people that were in my ear yapping about it, being like, "You need to pay attention to this game." When I tried to pay attention to the game, I was not bored, but I was extremely skeptical the entire time. Like Connor and I both, if you listen to the coverage we've had about this game, just talking about what we assume the perception is going to be when this thing releases, we both started being like, yeah, probably an 80 Metacritic. And then we just kept going higher. Just due to the excitement on the internet, mainly for me at least. There, once again, they showed, okay, this game will run well on a PC and stuff like that. Like there was a couple things that added to the faith, but it's like the main thing was like I would get 10 TikToks a day about this fucking game. Like no other game is getting this amount of coverage. So it's hard not to get excited. It almost feels like a draft prospect in the NBA. And it's like, if you're just showing highlights every single day on ESPN, like eventually I'm going to know what the name is and I'm going to get this idea that maybe they're going to be great when they go to the
Mhm.
Pelicans. Like, I don't know. This is such a weird example because we've seen the slam dunk version of this. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is kind of the slam dunk version of this. It is.
Mhm.
This is a massive thing. But the
Yeah.
reason that game worked was the narrative in it was pretty awesome by all accounts. And there's certain like story beats that I didn't get to, but people brought up with like the 3-word version of these stories, basically being like, yeah, when da 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 happened, and they're like, yep, I know exactly what you're talking about. It was awesome. That just is not part of this game at all. There isn't that extra sauce that you need on top of it, which I do think, sandbox wise, it seems pretty cool. But there's also the people that, like you said, when it comes to wading into the water, I believe it was Jason Schreier played 5 hours and he was like, fuck this game. I'm done. I'm not going to do it. Like, it's bland. It didn't work for me. And it's like, yeah, as somebody that doesn't have 5 hours to spare, let alone 100, I'm not going to spend 15 hours figuring out if I like this game or not, just to really dislike it or to struggle through the 15 hours, God forbid, to go and then kind of enjoy the 70 hours on top of it potentially. And I feel like I'm talking about this game like it's a 40. 78 is a damn good score.
Yeah. It is a good score. And I wish that we had someone here with us who was like a lot more excited about this game and has been following it more closely than either of us,
Yeah.
and who went in with a more open mind and less skepticism, because I feel like there's a much better discussion to be had there.
Yeah.
And I want to hear a lot more positivity about people when this game comes out for
I,
them to get their hands on it and have an amazing time.
I mean, this is really funny. I finished upstream grabbed water. I sat on the couch for like 2 seconds, and what I did on that time on the couch was I opened up Java's stream, who's a friend of the channel. She's shot a podcast with us. It's not out yet. It'll be a bonus pod down the line. But I opened up there, and they're playing Crimson Desert, and I asked, I was like, "You enjoying this?" And the baseline was them being like, "I'm having a really good time right now." And I like, once again, it's always hard to assume just being like, is it stream good time because you're streaming and you got the audience alongside of you and you're having these fun interactions that are so good for content? Because I look at this game and I'm like, this game is a content gold mine, straight up. Like the between guides and interactions and how wide this world is, come on, like that's great for content. But also, I've seen this person stream and not have a good time before, and be very frank and be like, it's got some issues, and the fact that there weren't those issues a few hours in, I believe that they were streaming for about 3 or 4 hours. Her and I have pretty similar taste when it comes to games. I think that there is a world where this is a good to great to even for some fantastic game. I just know myself well enough to be like, it's definitely not going to be for me. And I don't feel the need, unlike Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which gets the GOTY nom and gets everybody for the longest time in my ear being like, this is the greatest game ever, dude. Like, this is my game of the year. Like, you need to play this. I feel like there's going to be the people that this is in their top 10, but it's 9 or 10, or you fucking hate it. And there's no real in between there. I don't see it being higher, except for people like Paul Tassi, who wrote this article. Shout out to Paul Tassi over at Forbes. Gave it 9.5. He really enjoyed it his time, apparently. So maybe it is a Game of the Year contender for some, but it's not going to be Game of the Year nominee at the Game Awards, and it's also not for me.
You don't think so?
I bet. If you disagree, I'd bet anything, Matt. Like, if you want to bet on it,
I agree with you.
Okay.
I don't think it'll show up. But you'll be eating your words if you have to play it on principle, because it seems like you always do.
Yeah, no, I'm a very principle-oriented person. If it gets nominated, I will try this game out. I will understand this game. I might not play it to the extent that somebody else deems it enough to play. But the funniest part is the reviews also across the board have been like the onboarding process in this it's a drinking out of a fire hydrant situation where it's so much content so fast and it's overwhelming and you want to go and fall off. It's like, oh dude, I can imagine trying to stream this thing and being like, fuck, okay, chat, help me out with this one. Has anyone gone this far? Where am I supposed to go? Especially when you don't have a character like an Arthur Morgan or a Geralt to step in, be the guy, go do the thing. Immediately you care about these characters, you want to know more and set off in this adventure. But there's a large difference between Red Dead Redemption 2, which has that level of like, yeah, it starts a little bit slow and you're going through the snow. I actually like the intro to that game I like a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, but like, this seems like it's clunky in a way that is not going to like really invite me to be like, oh, let's set out on this adventure. I care what I believe the lead character's name is Cliff. I care about what Cliff is talking about. Let's go do the thing.
I mean, this is a weird part because I'm someone who cares a lot about story in my games, and that's not something that gets reviewed or circulated prior to a game's release, obviously because of spoilers. But
yeah,
a lot of people, when they get hands-on in order to put out a score for a game, they're not talking about or assessing the quality of the narrative because they don't have enough time to see the whole thing usually.
Yeah.
Especially if this game is long.
I mean, so, right now there's IGN 110 hours in its review in progress. It's not a full score because it's a beast. Yeah.
So where do you stand on narrative, like evaluating the narrative of a game when you are messing around with it for review? Because
I won't spoil things. Yeah, I won't spoil things, but I'll toss in where the narrative stands. Especially if we're doing that like quick form TikTok review, I'll be like, the narrative's great. There's characters that I care about, stuff like that. But like, I'm not going to go into story details at all, and especially endgame story details when we do Resident Evil, right? We'll talk about the things that are in the trailer that you can pick up on. But like the narrative beats that were hit on this when it came to the reviews were the narrative's weak. and then you move on. Like, hey, it's not as in depth. The characters you don't care about that much, and I think that also the thing that people need to remember when it comes to game reviewers, some people care a lot about certain things that other reviewers don't. There's going to I don't know if the person that I would be shocked if I called up Paul Tassi right now, 9.5. That's a hell of a score. If I called him up and I was like, is this one of the best narratives you played in a long time? I bet he would be like, no, it's fine. It's whatever. But the open world sandbox is so fucking good. That's all I care about. Whereas then you go and you look at somebody like me, and it's like, if there's not a narrative that I care about in the slightest, it's hard to get to that amazing score. It's hard to get to a score where I'm like being like, get this day one, go for it. And if the sandbox is that good, yeah, sure, maybe it is an amazing game and we go from there. But that's just not my bag. But that's very different than somebody maybe like Paul. I'm trying to like not say names, but obviously Paul is so like Paul and Jason Schreier are like two names that have circulated a lot with this review cycle for the opposite ends. And people are looking, this is once again just broad strokes. This is the fucking crazy part. People are being like, man, Paul's right. Because like he has a high score, and I want this game to have a high score. It's like, and people are calling Jason Schreier wrong. It's like until you play the game, you can't have a decision whether right or wrong. Like straight up, like that.
And I've been trying to be careful about how I'm talking about this game because I haven't played it.
Yeah.
And in fairness to the game, you should definitely play it before you render a verdict on it. I'm saying that I'm having a hard time swiping the card and making the choice to play the game, but I would never render a verdict on it if I haven't got my hands on the controller.
100%. I don't know if this game is for me or not for me. I assume it is not for me with my previous experience, and that makes it a lot easier when I see a 78 to not swipe the card. That's why there's value in reviews, is those purchase decisions. I said 6 p.m. I'm a fan. Like right now, like last night was a great time because I missed memories like this. Normally, and just speaking transparently, I could have texted certain people and figured out how good Crimson Desert was before it came out. I could have, hey, how's it going? So and so, where are you at with this? All that stuff. I didn't want to do that with this. I wanted to be a fan. I wanted 6 p.m. to drop and be like, what's the Metacritic score? How are people feeling? Let's have that conversation. And when I saw the 78, I legitimately was like, okay, cool. Like, it's for some people, it's not. It's probably not going to be for me. Especially with the reviewers that I grew up with and rely on and think about when it comes to this. I went to the people that I normally line up with, which is why if you're someone that's like, Nick has awful video game taste, I don't agree with him on anything, don't look to me for review scores. Like, find somebody else out there and use them for your process or whatever. But
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I think that, you mentioned Paul Tassi's review versus Jason Schreier's review.
Yeah.
And one is glowing and the other is not. And what people often see, aside from those two, or instead of those two, rather, is the Metacritic score, which is an aggregate of those two opposing viewpoints. So the Metacritic score is less of an indication than either of those two, but it is sort of a measure of consensus.
Yes.
Which is a very strange thing to wrap your head around when it comes to a divisive game like this. And I all of that going into consideration, I want to bring up what you just said is you need to find people who you trust to review a game. Not necessarily someone that you agree with, but someone whose opinion you decide is well informed.
Yep.
Because that is going to be a much better indicator of if you're going to enjoy a game that you buy. When you look at reviews like that, is find someone whose maybe tastes align with yours. I would say that is a more important decider than whether or not you agree with them on a review, because they might dissuade you from making a decision that you regret, or they might encourage you to check out a game you otherwise wouldn't.
Yeah.
So it takes discerning taste when it comes to what sort of reviews you look at, in not just the meta score, because that's a useful tool, but it's not the end all.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this much. Like, as somebody that looks to for a long time, my favorite video game reviewer, my guy at this point, is Andy Cortez from Kind of Funny. He is somebody that plays a lot of action games, a lot of open world games. One of his favorite games of all time is Elden Ring. The way he talks about games is very similar to the way I talk about games. And so when I, back in the day, throughout high school and college, was looking on whether I'd make that purchase decision, I would be most curious about his score on certain panels because I aligned with him. And they got it right for me personally. A lot of the time, I would be pretty close, a point within their reviewing. With that being said, I think a lot of people too are dunking on IGN right now. They're being like, "Oh man, IGN didn't like it. It's gonna be great then." If you listen to anything, if you hear anything during this episode, like this show is an information and commentary podcast. It's supposed to inform. IGN has different writers. So an IGN 7 from so-and-so is not the same IGN 7 from so-and-so. They are different. Sure, it is coming under the same publication, but they are different. I promise you that there's people in that IGN office that think after playing Crimson Desert, it fucking rules. I also promise that there's people that are going to be even harsher to it after playing it. But as right now, there's somebody that put in 110 hours of time into trying to go and write and give their opinion. So shout out to that person. One, I'm pretty sure they only had a couple weeks to review this. It was pretty public knowledge of when they got code and such. So shout out, 110 hours, insane amount of work, especially for a game you don't love. Shout out to that person. But two, just a reminder, hey, there's going to be different review scores. Look to the writers. I think that that's something that the people just see the 7 from IGN. I like to know when it is a Simon Cardy or back in the day a Jonathan Dornbush or X, Y, or Z person because I know how I align with those opinions versus the other ones. I like that this turned into a podcast Connor and I pitched a long time ago, which was just like talking about review scores. Like,
yeah,
that's all we're really doing at this point.
Moral of the story: gain some context for the reviews that you consume and pay attention to that and be that's the first lesson of media literacy. Yeah, and that'll take you far.
And I think, if there's nothing that I want more from our audience, it is to be literate when it comes to this stuff, especially when it comes to the amount of internet discussion around this one, where it is people being, obviously, you can be negative on certain games, you can be, but like, don't be an ass towards people when it comes to a review score or whatever, or even like, you should, if you were excited about Crimson Desert, you should still play Crimson Desert. For me, I was not excited about Crimson Desert, and this didn't get me more excited, but like, I don't think that a review score should go and dissuade you, especially 78, from making a purchase decision like that, especially when so many people are so high on it, because there is right now the chance, if you were excited about this game especially, they're going to end up on the higher end. So I'm very, very curious to see where it lands. But Matt, this was headline number 1 because I just wanted to talk about Crimson Desert review scores, but before this was headline number 1, there were some shakeups and some pitchforks being brought out because NVIDIA went bananas. Let's get into it. Headline: NVIDIA announces DLSS 5, injecting even more AI into games. This is Jacqueline Thomas over at IGN. Quote, NVIDIA has announced DLSS 5 at GTC 2026, a new iteration of the company's gaming AI suite that it is describing as, quote, the GPT moment for graphics, end quote. DLSS debuted back in 2018 with the RTX 2080, and it was initially just the deep learning super sampling that it's named after. The idea was to take a game, render it at a lower resolution, and then upscale it using AI back to your native resolution. DLSS has evolved a lot in the years since, including features like frame generation, reflex, and now an AI model that injects new lighting and materials to make the scene more, quote, photorealistic, quote. In a blog post, NVIDIA acknowledges the challenges that AI video models have faced in the past, namely their unpredictability. NVIDIA's solution is to tie the model to the color and motion vector data taken from the game engine, just like with frame generation, to keep the output grounded in the original scene. According to NVIDIA, the model is trained to, quote, end-to-end understand complex scene semantics such as characters, hair, fabric, and translucent skin, along with environmental lighting conditions like frontlit, backlit, or overcast, all by analyzing a single frame. End quote. The model then uses that information to generate images. NVIDIA showed off the new technology in a new trailer that shows it running in Resident Evil Requiem, Hogwarts Legacy, and EA Sports FC. And it definitely makes a difference, making it look like the frame was run through some kind of AI filter. It remains to be seen just how much impact to gaming performance this new technology will make, or whether or not it'll be as popular as NVIDIA's previous iterations of DLSS. NVIDIA hasn't released an exact release date for DLSS 5, but it will be coming sometime in fall 2026, starting with games like Aeon 2, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and Resident Evil Requiem. NVIDIA also didn't announce which of its graphics card would be compatible with the new AI filter, but it's likely be limited to Blackwell cards like the RTX 5090 and whatever next generation GPUs NVIDIA has cooking for 2027. End quote. 2077 is just always on the top of mind, Matt. Cyberpunk's cool. Matt, um, just give me thumbs up, thumbs down. Does this look good?
Um, I'll give you a caveat. The environments get a thumbs up from me. The character models get a thumbs down.
Okay.
I think that the especially the faces look uncanny valley to me, and of course this has become a meme in like the past couple days that people are uh describing it as like a Snapchat filter for video games, to yassify the characters. And I think that is sort of a little self-contained backlash to this development, a little bit of social outcry. So I think that people will take the hint that this needs a little bit more time in the oven before it's ready to come out. Um, I don't like the way that it looks, and I think it is not a necessary feature that should go in every game. And I think that worst case, it'll be a graphic setting that you can go into your graphics options and turn off if you don't like it. And if that is how it turns out, I think it'll probably be an opt-in feature and not
Yeah.
an opt-out feature. But I would be opting out if it were to come to that. Um, I think that this technology is still burgeoning. Um, and developers have been leveraging computation to get better image quality out of the same amount of hardware for as long as people have been making video games. So this is just another brick on that pyramid. I i worry that the use of AI is um beginning to become more of a crutch in the back end of game development. And I worry about the unforeseen consequences of that. Obviously, this headline is not indicating that people are using generative AI to make their games. It's more of an upscaling feature, which people have been actually pretty positive on up until now.
Yeah.
But I think that people have drawn the line here, and it's interesting that the the first instance that people have finally drawn the line on for AI upscaling is when they're starting to see like human character models rendered out, or at least that's my personal experience. Is okay, these environments look great and better, but I can't. This is not playable to me because I can't look at these faces.
Yeah.
So it seems like a less human approach to graphical processing.
I love like basically everything you said. I feel like the number one thing with this filter that they were going for were the faces with the photorealism of
Hmm.
these characters. So I really haven't paid too much attention to the background fidelity, just because I'm getting just jaw dropped by the way Grace Ashcroft looks in Resident Evil, and like I'm like, this is nuts. So I'm not really paying attention to the backgrounds, and I don't even know if a lot of people were. So I don't hate your take that they do look better by any means. I don't really have an
I mean,
input there.
it's kind of like when you go to the eye doctor and they're trying out different prescriptions for you where you have the big like thing up to your face and they're like, is this better or is this better? And you look at them and you're like, I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
That's your
That's
job.
kind of still that's kind of still how it felt even looking at the environment. So I'm like, is it necessary? Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not.
And then yeah, the faces. I don't. I'm just gonna say bad. I think they look bad.
Sure.
I normally in this industry we have to use fancy terms for synonyms. I'm just going bad. Like I don't like it. I think that this is ridiculous. I'm pretty vocal about Gen AI. I don't want them in games. I definitely don't want them in game development. And on the back end of things, I don't think that they are worthwhile. I think that we have been able to do a process for a long time of creating video games to a large amount of success without it. It is unnecessary. And the
Yeah.
number one thing that it will create is job loss, which for a
Yeah.
happy and healthy video games industry, you need great games, you need people to be employed. This is, in my opinion, like we are taking out a lot of the creative aspect of what these people are putting out on the screen. I don't
Absolutely.
I think that the people that are rendering Grace could render them closer to those I'm just going AI models if they wanted to. I think that they could get
Sure.
closer if they wanted to. But they're like, no, the RE engine's awesome. We have a vision for this. We're gonna stick to it, and it's gonna look this way. And I think Resident Evil Requiem looks gorgeous. Like by all accounts, it looks phenomenal. I think that this is one where I'm kind of happy that people are digging their heels in, being like, yeah, this is too much. Because right now in a world where AI is continuously pushing the line forward on what they can get away with, we don't have the story in there, but like Microsoft Copilot is going to be like it on Xbox software going forward and stuff like that. Like that is an addition for their AI model because they want to push AI users there to have a larger AI number that they can show to shareholders and bullshit, right? Like that's not going to stop. And so they're keep on pushing the envelope. I like that as fans of gaming, we the gamers get to dictate kind of where this goes. And I'm happy that yeah, maybe they do still come out with
Yeah.
this and it is still going to go and there's going to be people that utilize it. I am
Yeah.
not going to be one of those people and I like that there is a outcry right now being like fuck off. Like generative AI, I like that right now generative AI is legitimately a bad term. Like people look at that and they see that and they go, "We don't want it."
Hmm.
And I think that there are certain cases where people are going to look at AI when it comes to speeding up coding. Todd Howard discussed this a little bit about like the way that they plan on having AI be part of Bethesda and stuff like that. And he was like, we don't want to utilize generative AI. And then they come out with this, and Starfield's one of the fucking games that they show off for this trailer. And it's like, what do we do? Okay, but like, what's that relationship? Is this Nvidia just like deciding to put a filter over it, or do they get it approved from Bethesda? How does this all work together?
Hmm.
Um, this sucks. It's bad. I fucking hate it. I think that every single time I talk about AI on this channel, I feel like I get more gray hairs. Like I feel like I'm
Hmm.
legitimately going to like burst into flames. Because I just think that like this is one of the worst steps that
Hmm.
game creation has taken in the past couple of years, and it's just going to get worse. And I am very happy that people are windmill dunking on Nvidia for this tech. Like
Yeah.
it
I
yeah, go ahead.
I agree with everything that you said, and this will be the last thing we say on this story. I think that I am firmly in the camp of believing that video games are art first and software second. And I worry that we're beginning to create a fork in the road for ourselves where game studios are at odds with themselves over whether they are creating art or software. Um, because there will be people belonging to the same studio who disagree over how AI is going to be used, and that will be the crux of the argument. So it's something that we will have to continue grappling with because, unfortunately, the AI in video games, like it or not, is probably going to be around for good to in some capacity.
Yeah.
We probably won't see it, but it will be there. in the back end behind the curtain. Um, so it's something that developers rather than us, the players, will probably have to grapple with even more than we're talking about.
For sure. Moving on. Headline: Vampire Survivors crazy dungeon crawler spin-off launches next month. This is Jim Norman over at Nintendo Life. Quote: after its big reveal at the end of last year, Poncle has today announced the release date for its wild-looking deck-building dungeon-crawling Vampire Survivors spin-off, Vampire Crawlers, the turbo wild card from Vampire Survivors. Crawlers will arrive on Switch 1 and 2 on the 21st of April for $9.99, which, given how many hours were poured into Vampire Survivors, feels like a small price to pay. For those who missed this one up until now, Crawler seems to be just as addictive as his predecessor. This is a deck-building dungeon crawler where you'll be exploring familiar Vampire Survivors locales and taking out the enemies therein with your deck of cards. There are some roguelike elements thrown in along the way, of course, so we can expect this one to gobble up a good amount of our time too. End quote. Matt, Vampire Crawlers, are you in on this one? $10? How do you feel with this?
I mean, I'm not in on it because I'm not. I never played Vampire Survivors or any of the Survivors-esque games. Like Megabonk comes to mind as sort of like the unlimited roguelike leveling up type of Survivor style game. Nor am I super into deck builders. So it's not up my alley, but I did watch the trailer that's attached to this headline. It's a fun trailer. Um, the game looks pretty good for the audience that it is inevitably going to draw. I think fans of Vampire Survivors are gonna eat this game up and play it for just as long as they played Vampire Survivors. And guess what? $10 is a breath of fresh air for people who are tired of spending $70 and maybe potentially more on games that they get really excited about. So it's nice that people are getting or going to get really excited about a game that is as easy as $10. And guess what? This thing is going to go on sale for like $2.
Yeah.
You know that like 3 years from now, the Steam summer sale is going to hit and this game is going to be cheaper than a cup of coffee and you can play it for 100 hours. And that's value, man. And it puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, I am going to Vampire Survivors Steam database. The lowest recorded price of Vampire Survivors was $269. Vampire Survivors is like a $5 game, so like it was always insanely cheap for like no reason. It's on sale right now for $375. You're 100% correct. This game will hit that $2 mark. Like you will get this thing 85% off for $150 in a few years. But when it comes to this, I completely agree. Right now, when we have so many hot, exciting $70 games left and right, as somebody that likes to play a shit ton of new games and get excited about the new shiny thing that I get to boot up and go with, I love seeing a $10 price tag on a game like this. If you haven't tried a deck builder, and you're hearing about Slay the Spire 2 early access, I don't know, from Rogan on the podcast we just shot that you should check out over on Casual Gaming Conversation, and you want to grab a deck builder, $10. Like,
there you go.
This is a great one to hop into. It's also coming from a dev team that like just killed it with the last release, and I assume this one's going to come out and get 83 to 87 on Metacritic, be hot to go. It's awesome. Go for it. And then also Switch 2. The fact that there's another game that you can pick up on your Switch 2 and take on the go and pump a shit ton of hours into, this is such a game for the people that like to lay in bed late night, laying down, looking up at their Switch 2 console and just go and play until it's 2 a.m. They look over at the clock, go, shit, I got work in 5 hours, and then roll over, and then they might pick it up again and finish out their run because they like it so much. So yeah, I'm excited for this. This isn't like a must play for me. April has a shit ton of games. Let me pull up our calendar just because I'm curious to see where this lands. You have Replace, Mouse PI, Saros, Pragmata, Invincible Versus, all from April 13th to 30th. And this one coming out right like 2 days before Pragmata or 3 days before Pragmata. After a couple of other indie releases in your mouse PI and replaced. I'll say this: I don't want to go negative with it. I'll go positive. If you're somebody that's like, man, I got $70 to spend, you kind of have a pretty fun option between your AAA bangers of Pragmata and Saros, or you can get 3 really great games that have great preview
Hmm.
coverage out there with replaced mouse PI and this.
Hmm.
So I think that the people that are looking forward to a very fun April, I went and talked a little bit about this today. I'm very like excited that Crimson Desert isn't like going to take up all my time right now as someone that was never really that interested in it. Because boy, oh boy, April's exciting. And this just makes April that much more exciting. Alrighty, closing out this entire podcast.
Let's do it.
Matt and I were joking, being like, this might be a 30-minute podcast. Like, we just don't have a lot. We're an hour in already. Headline: Starfield is finally coming to PS5 next month alongside new content and a PS5 Pro support. This is Jordan Miller at BGC. Quote: Bethesda Space RPG had been rumored to make an appearance on Sony's console for some time, but today, Todd Howard's studio confirmed that the game and all the previous available content will launch on PS5 on April 7th. Starfield on PS5 will cost $49.99 USD for the standard edition, with a deluxe version priced at $64.99. The Xbox and PC versions, which until this morning were $69.99 for the standard edition and $99.99 for the premium edition, have had an immediate price cut for to match this. The PlayStation version of the game will support PS5 Pro, with Bethesda Game Studios announcing that the game will ship with a Pro Performance mode, which will target higher FPS, and a Pro Visual mode. Alongside the PlayStation 5 version of the game, 2 new pieces of content are coming to Starfield in April, titled Terran Armada and Free Lanes. End quote. Matt, 2023 rolled around, Starfield, let's start here. Are you a Bethesda guy, like with these massive RPGs, Skyrim, Fallout, and were you excited for Starfield?
So that's a great place to start. I have played Skyrim, really liked it. I've played Fallout 4, really liked it. So I was excited for Starfield. But as someone who has never had an Xbox, it was never available to me. So I was really excited for it up until the announcement that it was going to be an exclusive, and then my excitement began to wane. And it kind of just died off. And then the game came out, and I was like, this looks all right. Um, and like the only person I know who has played this game is Connor, and he was like, he's like the number one Starfield defender, and he's not even like that vehemently positive about it.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, I put in 3 hours into Starfield. Okay.
I didn't know that, to
Yeah,
be honest with you.
I did try it. I booted up, played through the first like 2 missions, and I was like, one, my PC was cooking. You know, like that was back in the day running like a 2060 setup or whatever I had, 2070. I don't even know. But now I have a nicer PC. It would probably run a lot better. It didn't matter. I didn't like the game. It was very gray and bland, and I wasn't for it. But $50, Bethesda RPG, you're Mister loving to pump a shit ton of time into. And I'm not saying random in a derogatory way. I'm saying random in just a variety of games you play.
Mhm.
Is this a random game that you might want to pick up? Does $50 raise any eyebrows?
First of all, I take that as a compliment, and
You,
second of all,
you should.
it's nice that it is now there. It's nice that it's available. It's nice that it's an option. I would wait for a price drop if I ever get it, and or even like if it. I doubt it would ever show up as one of like the free monthly games, but come on, that would be awesome.
I wouldn't be
Um,
shocked. I would not be like it may be a PlayStation Plus Essential or a extra sort of deal. I wouldn't be. It wouldn't be out of the conversation with the way that Microsoft likes to just milk their games as much as possible to get as much money out of them as they can right now. So I wouldn't be insanely shocked if that did happen.
so my answer to you is that I would be frugal with it, but like I would play it on PlayStation, and that's a change from me not having really any plans to play it at all because it wasn't on PlayStation. So,
I'm gonna be Connor real quick.
mhm.
I'm going to say if I was Connor,
He's shaving his head
yeah,
as we speak.
I think Connor would the Starfield fans like the idea of platinuming this one on their PlayStation.
Oh, all right.
But then they won't do it. But then, like,
Oh, but
if he was in your seat, he'd be like, I like the idea, but I'm not like
dude,
I probably won't do it.
you brought up the trophy talk, and my ears perked up, and
Yeah.
you just immediately shot it down. You were like, "But they're not gonna.
They're not gonna.
People aren't doing that."
No, I think that once again, the people Starfield does have a dedicated community. Like it does have a conglomerate of people that
As all
are
Bethesda games do.
Yeah, and this one in particular, like, is also this is my social media brain. Like people post videos about Starfield and they do well. Like people like this is their shit to a large degree. Like you said, is the case with a lot of Bethesda games. So I am curious to see the people that go for the platinum and boot this one up. I am curious to see how this sells. Are we talking about a Forza Horizon 5 situation where it just blows up and it's in the top 10 PlayStation games? I don't see that. But I could see this selling a couple extra million because it is Bethesda and people want to go and give it a shot. But yeah, I don't expect this to be the next Forza Horizon 5 massive success story. But I don't also expect it to be Gears Reloaded where it's like, oh yeah, that did come to PlayStation. I expect this to be somewhere in the middle of those two types of releases when it comes to the sales figures for this one.
Cool.
Matt, thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the Casual Gaming News Conversation.
Absolutely.
Well, Matt and I were joking before this. We are in the dog days of video game news, just with the way that the schedule of the year works. We're in the review season, which is a lot of fun because there's a lot of games to talk about playing, which means casual gaming conversation is great, but the news is normally pretty light. And I'm just thankful this week, as of right now, there weren't like massive layoff stories that we really were the number one headline. There were a couple other things to talk about there, so that's always good. But with that being said, Matt, as always, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to tag this podcast here before we get into it. Thank you so much for the past few weeks of listening to this podcast, listener. Matt, thank you for stepping in. There is a chance that Connor returns next week. We are giving there's no timeline on it, but I think that he wants to get back to this show and others. So if this is the last time you're on CJNC, Matt, thank you. For the people that have stuck around and listened to every episode with Matt, whether it is because you love Matt, as you should, or you just want to go and continue listening to this show because you love it, thank you for sticking with this. This has been...
Hear it from me. Thank you.
Yeah, it really does mean the world. And all the kind words that we've received in the past few weeks and all the thoughts, prayers, and all the excitement for Connor's return has been really awesome for Connor also. As I know, Connor, you're listening to this right now. So thank you so much for going and being so kind on the internet where people can be shitty. You guys have been really awesome at this time. So... shout out, though, to our amazing members who support over at the highest tier on patreon.com/co64. Amazing members like Han Solo, Logan Hamilton, Chad Chaddington, the third, Roland K, A2 Tone, Hooligan, 40, Awesome OG, Town Stellinator, Humunga Duncan, Night Echo, Skull Thunder, Caleb Beef, Squidalicious, Silent Hills X, Blake is a Dog, Cash R, JQP, Pigeon Power, John B, Tyler Search, Shells, Raincoat, Ooh Gracie, Choose R, MG Dumper, Mr. Munchies, Malcolm the Dog, Farmer Spud, Rocketator, No Feed, The Dankest Mike, Swampy Bits, Going to See, Killa, Cheese, Aloha, Alley, Scooterman, Centuro, Hook'em Horns Go, National Neutral Sphere, Eli the Unusual, The Neutron Style, Easton C, Kingdom Hearts Rules, Stubby Doobie, Crispy, DJ Zach B, Uli, Jacob D, Big Mac, Melanie, The Patty Cake, Bear Pog, Cowboy Jesus, Mega Yogi, Dam, Holden M, Brock, Voodoo, Milky Sins, Reggie Ranks, Alex the Golden, Andrew H, Master Days, Cannon Fodder Games, Only One, Rufus, JMap B3, Snake, Ali Benali, Bikel, and Kingdom Hearts Sucks. Once again, Matt, thank you so much for being on this episode. And everyone, we will see you in the next one. Peace out.